Hi, I'm Realtor Erik Buyers, and today we're going to go over the home buying process and also what obligations and responsibilities your agent may have to you during this process. I'm going to break down this process into 8 easy to understand steps and use real-world examples so you can help understand this process at a deeper level. Step 1 of the real estate home buying process is to consult with a buyer's agent. What is a buyer's agent? The buyer's agent is an agent who's committed to helping you throughout the home buying process. You're going to have to sign a buyer-broker agreement with them up front. You can always tell your agent you'd like to cancel this agreement if things aren't working out with them. But assuming all things are going well with you and your agent so far, let's continue. You've consulted with a buyer's agent and you've signed a buyer-broker agreement. The buyer's broker agreement will spell out obligations of compensation between you and your buyer's agent. Typically in this business, nothing has changed and the seller is continuing to pay 2.5% to the buyer's broker and the agent. Thus, the buyer would not be responsible to pay a commission. However, your agent may stipulate if the seller does not pay 2.5%, then you'll have to come up with the difference so that they receive 2.5%. Your buyer's agent is going to assess what your needs are. What are you looking for? Where is it? When do you need to buy? Are there specific neighborhoods you like? What are your must-haves? What are your deal breakers? Your buyer's agent will explain the home buying process if you need explanation and you're a new buyer. There's a lot going on in a real estate transaction, and sometimes we all need a little bit of explanation. Your buyer's agent may also offer some basic financial guidance as it pertains to real estate transactions. For example, speak with your accountant before you buy or sell a home. There's a lot of tax implications of buying and selling homes because there's a lot of money moving around. When you move large amounts of money around from account to account, there are tax consequences. You need to understand those. So from my experience, I have had to back out of escrow because my client didn't understand the tax implications of selling their home in the purchase of another home. They were going to be liable for $100,000, and this was a deal breaker for them. So they had to back out of an escrow and they did not purchase. So consult with an accountant. Your agent may also help you understand financing and how to prepare for getting a loan. Your buyer's agent may refer you to multiple mortgage brokers that are ideal for your needs. Your buyer's agent may also advise you as to basic ways to prepare for buying a home, such as no more than 3 lines of credit and don't buy a car. That's right, you don't want to buy a car before or during the real estate process. If you do that as a home buyer, you may kill the deal because this is going to affect your debt to income ratios. And those debt to income ratios are going to be run days before closing. And if those numbers change, it will kill the deal. Don't buy a car when you're buying a home. Buying or selling a home also requires a certain amount of savings. So your agent may advise you as to the amount of savings that you may require. For example, if you're getting an 80-20 loan, 80% loan to 20% down payment, and you're getting a $500,000 house, you're going to need $100,000 plus the amount to close escrow. Your agent will be able to determine the amount of money that you'll likely need to show on your proof of funds when writing an offer. You've met with your buyer's agent, you've signed a buyer's broker agreement, and they've advised you about the home buying process and what your obligations are throughout the process, and they've referred you to mortgage brokers to get the process started. The buyer must send documents to the mortgage broker to find out what they are qualified to purchase. You're going to need proof of funds, and you're going to need a pre-approval letter to write an offer. Can you do it without a pre-approval letter or just a pre-qualification letter? Yes, but it's not a strong offer, and in a multiple offer situation, you will lose the deal to an offer that has proof of funds. If you have a fully written pre-approval, that is as strong as it can get. You attach that with proof of funds and your offer, and you're strong. You've consulted with your buyer's agent. You've signed a buyer's broker agreement with your buyer's agent. You've been advised about the process, and you've started the process with mortgage brokers. Now it's time for step 2, the property search. Your buyer's agent will set you up on the multiple listing service so you can get up-to-date information as to homes that are ideal for you within your criteria. All sites feed from the MLS or multiple listing service. Sites like Zillow, Redfin, or any other sites, those are feeder sites. The MLS is the most up to date. So getting your agent to put you on auto prospecting, whereby within this criteria, let's say you want a $550,000 home max price in this area, you can draw a grid, your agent can, and now you're going to get homes automatically sent to you the moment they come up. Your buyer's agent may have a big Rolodex, a lot of contacts. They may know of some sellers whose homes are not yet on the market, but may be willing to sell their home. These are called pocket listings. People like me who go door knock hundreds or thousands of doors find sellers who don't want to list their home, but they're interested in selling their home and saving money. So what you can do as a buyer's agent is tell your buyers, hey, I know of this seller and their home suits your criteria in this neighborhood, and we can save everybody money if I work both sides for a reduced fee. Your buyer's agent is going to schedule and coordinate showings. Do you have 4, 6, 10, 12 homes to see? Well, where are you going to start your search? Where are you going to end it? Your buyer's agent is going to help coordinate the showings of the properties you'd like to see. They may do this through the application showing time or calls, texts, and emails to listing agents to best coordinate your search so it's most efficient for you when you're seeing the homes. Step 3 of the home buying process is market analysis and education. Your buyer's agent is to educate you on the market conditions currently within your specific market that you're looking to buy. For example, locally, there's a new construction market, and the new construction market is much more active and high demand than the resale market. Therefore, you're going to need to approach the process differently, whether you're buying new construction, a resale, commercial, or rural properties. The demand and the process is going to be different for each, and your agent should advise you on the differences in these processes. Your buyer's agent will help you understand market analysis and neighborhood insights. New construction versus the resale market. How do you approach the process, and what is your offer going to look like in new construction versus a resale offer? It's going to be different. There's a different process. The demand is different, the contracts may be different, and you're going to be advised as to these differences and how you need to approach it differently. If you're an investor, your buyer's agent will give you investor-specific advice, such as what the rent could be, or what your return on investment can be, what the cap rate is in the area, things like that are specific to investor purchases. You found a home. Now it's time to write an offer. Congratulations, you're on step 4 of the home buying process, offer and negotiations. Your agent is to help advise you on terms of your offer. The most important term is obviously price. The second most important term that they may advise you on is this a contingent offer? You'll know this ahead of time if it's contingent upon you selling a home to buy a home. This will significantly reduce the strength of your offer. Other terms include a financing contingency. Do you need to obtain a loan? And have you been underwritten? Is this loan solid? Is your lender good? If you are pre-approved, then you're pretty good. All you need to do is fulfill your conditions, and you may most likely be able to close this deal. There are other terms. You can include or waive a certain number of contingencies, including a financing contingency, an appraisal contingency, inspection contingencies. Waiving these contingencies will put you at risk while strengthening your offer. You need to make sure you can perform, or you'll be in breach of contract, and you may be liable for 3% liquidated damages if this is in the terms of your contract. Your buyer's agent is to help you draft a purchase agreement with the ideal terms based on the situation that you have. Your buyer's agent has helped you understand the terms of your offer, and you've presented your offer with your terms to purchase a home. Your offer was accepted. That's great. Now you're on step 5, inspections and due diligence. Your buyer's agent is to help you coordinate inspections and understand what inspections might be important for you in your area. Most likely, you're going to get a general home inspection that will give you a bill of health of your home. If your home has unique features, then you're going to need unique inspections for those that won't be covered by the general home inspection. The home inspection will give you an overview, but you may need more than that. If you know upfront that you need a certain type of inspection based on what's going on in your area, you're going to need those inspections. So listen to your buyer's agent advice on what inspections they believe you need. These inspections should be spelled out in the purchase agreement and timeframes to complete the inspections. Where we live here, there's certain areas where you need to test for radon. So that is going to be put into the purchase agreement with a time frame up front. Your agent should call the inspector ahead of time to know when they can get in and keep those timeframes as short as possible to keep your offer as strong as possible. Other areas will need unique inspections, such as termites, rats, or wood-boring beetles. You need an expert based on those inspections that'll help you determine how to mitigate this and how much this will cost you. Now, you and your buyer's agent are to review the inspections after you receive the reports back. And if you have questions, you can call the person who performs the inspection. Remember, your buyer's agent is not the expert home inspector. They're not the chimney inspector. They're not the attorney. You need to obtain the proper counsel based on what you've received. Reviewing these inspections will help you determine what to do next. For example, if you had no idea that there's an active termite infestation that was affecting the structural integrity of the home, now you as the buyer can decide, do I want to cancel this agreement and not be liable for anything as long as you're within the inspection period? Or are you going to ask for seller concessions? Are you going to ask for the seller to reduce the price or to pay for mitigation prior to close of escrow? Your agent will help advise you as the best way to move forward. I recently had a transaction where my buyer needed to purchase a home, but they needed to sell a commercial property in another state. The issue was that this property in another state was near a contamination site. It wasn't on one, but it was near one, and it needed several contamination soils tests and air tests in order for them to sell that home so we could buy the new one. So I, as the buyer's agent, needed to keep on top of those tests and the inspections and make sure that they were getting ordered and that people were showing up and doing their job. If I didn't constantly contact the people that were doing the inspections and the attorney on the other side that had to review them and approve them, then this deal would have fallen apart. So it's really important that your buyer's agent stays on top of everything. You can't let anything go at any time. Time is of the essence in real estate transactions. Your buyer's agent needs to stay in constant contact with your lender to make sure the appraisal's getting ordered and the appraiser shows up, maybe even meeting the appraiser at the home. This is very effective. I do that personally, and I highly recommend it for all agents. And your agent needs to stay in touch with your lender to make sure that everything is going smoothly, that they're doing their job, that they're sending out documents and moving forward as they need to. Your buyer's agent needs to stay in touch with the listing agent, also escrow or transaction coordinators and assistants throughout the deal to make sure that everything is done in a timely manner and everything goes smoothly. Your buyer's agent needs to anticipate problems before they happen so that they can mitigate these problems to ensure that you buy this home and nothing happens to keep you from doing that. You've finished your inspections, but you haven't closed escrow yet. You're now in step number 6, transaction management. Your buyer's agent is to ensure that all timelines are being met. What are the different inspection or contingency timeframes? Your inspection contingency, your loan contingency, your appraisal contingency, whatever contingencies you have, your agent needs to know when those inspections and when those contingencies need to be removed. Your buyer's agent is going to need to stay on top of the time management of all the contingencies to ensure that you're not bumped out of escrow. For example, if you have a contingency to sell your home in order to purchase a home, you're going to have a certain amount of time to sell your home, whether it's in contract or not. If it's just for sale, you have a certain time to get it in escrow and to sell it before you can buy this other home. If you have not removed a contingency and you are coming up to the date of the contingency timeframe, and the listing agent has another offer or another interested party to buy the home, they can send you a form that's a buyer notice to perform, which will force you to basically back out of the deal or remove the contingency. If you receive the buyer notice to perform and you don't remove the contingency, the seller may be able to unilaterally bump you out of escrow based on your failure of performance. Then the seller can bring in a new buyer who can perform within the time frames. So it's very important for your buyer's agent to keep on top of timeframes because oftentimes deals can fall apart because of this, especially in hot real estate markets. Your buyer's agent is to manage communications between parties. They need to constantly communicate with the lender, perhaps the appraiser, the listing agent and or their assistants, and escrow officers. Failure to communicate may lead to you having your deal fall apart. I was assisting a buyer a few years ago purchase a home, and I contacted the lender constantly to ensure that the appraisal was ordered, even though this should be a no-brainer. It's a good thing I constantly called the lender. I finally got through after about a week, and it turns out the lender had not ordered the appraisal, despite the fact they absolutely should have done this on day one. The lender nearly jeopardized the entire transaction. It's a good thing I contacted them because the lender was not a good lender. A good lender is going to do what they need to do and do it in a timely manner. In real estate, time is of the essence. Failure to do something as simple as not ordering an appraisal can kill a deal because it's going to push out the appraisal, the loan, and now, instead of closing in 30 days, it could take 60 days or more. The seller may not allow you to get an extension on these timeframes. Therefore, they can force you to perform, remove the contingencies, or they can unilaterally cancel the agreement and bring in a new buyer. Another deal where I had to constantly call the attorney to make sure that they reviewed and approved soils and air samples. It turns out their attorney was not doing their job. They had the email of the results, but they did not even open the email. After several days, they still hadn't opened the email. I called, texted, and emailed constantly, but their failure to communicate nearly cost the deal. But the fact that I constantly was reaching out to them to make sure that they were doing what they were supposed to saved the deal. I made sure that the attorney was constantly on top of what they needed to do, and that made the difference. We barely made it in time, and we were able to meet our timelines and close the deal. But we had to receive multiple extensions because of the parties on the other side not doing their job. But it's really, really important for your buyer's agent to keep in constant contact with all people that are responsible for different parts of the transaction. Failures of communication leads to deals falling apart. Contingencies are being removed. Everything is looking good and you're sure you can close. So you've removed your loan contingency, your appraisal contingency was already removed, your inspection contingencies are removed, you've already had your inspections, you've reviewed them, and you're okay with the condition of the home. You've removed all your contingencies, and now it's time for step 7, closing assistance. You and your agent are to review the closing documents. This is really important, and I can't stress this enough. An example is when one time I was selling my home and I was meeting with a mobile notary to sign closing documents that were presented from escrow. And to my surprise, upon reading some of the pages, I found that I was billed $8,000 for a sewer lateral repair. And when I looked at the address, it was a different address. It wasn't mine. They included fees onto my side that I was going to be responsible for. If I didn't read the documents closely, I could have paid $8,000 for someone else's sewer lateral repair. But instead, I caught this mistake, and now escrow had to fix this problem. Problem was, I had a notary at my house, and so this was not an easy situation to deal with, but the situation was resolved. It's really important for you and your buyer to look through the closing documents and make sure everything looks good. Your agent is to help advise you as to what to expect at closing. This may include ways to hold title or things you should or should not see on your closing documents. Nearly every new construction deal I've done over the past couple of years has had numbers that are incorrect on the closing documents. The new construction company had made promises to my buyers as to what they were going to receive, such as X percentage or X dollars amount to be used at closing for closing costs. But these numbers didn't add up, and there was still an overage, and this was to be used for other things such as HOA fees or other things. So it's really important to review this closing documents and make sure all the numbers look good. Worst case scenario, you have an extension for a day or two, but it's not your fault. If somebody makes a mistake, you're not going to be in breach of contract. Your buyer's agent may attend the closing with you. They may do this just to be supportive, or they may do this to help you answer questions while you're there signing the papers. Congratulations, you've closed escrow on your new home. And now your agency relationship with your buyer's agent has terminated, and they may or may not help you moving forward. But a good agent is going to continue to assist you after the closing. We are on step 8, post-closing services. Your buyer's agent may provide you a list of utility companies that you'll need to use to set up new services in your area. These utility companies may also be provided on documents that you signed already. Your buyer's agent will also help get you the referrals you need, such as plumbers, painters, electricians. Good service people are in high demand and they're very hard to get. Unfortunately, it seems to be an epidemic of poor service and people who don't show up to their appointments. Good service people these days are as good as gold. A good example is I had a client and they needed painters. They worked with the biggest painter name in town. These painters made promises but failed to deliver. They did not do what they said they would do. They did a terrible job, didn't finish the job, and there was a fight and it went to litigation. If your agent can assist providing referrals, this is going to be very valuable for you. This is not a responsibility of your buyer's agent, but they may be able to provide you with people they've used before who are reputable, who show up on time and do the job they say they're going to do. Your buyer's agent may check in with you to ensure everything is smooth after close of escrow. For example, my client who purchased a new construction home had a plumbing issue that was a water softener that was supposed to be plumbed correctly, but it was plumbed in a circular loop and it wasn't even connected to the water main. So they needed to make multiple calls. Maybe you need to remind them who they need to call to help get this fixed. Your buyer's agent may help you with relocation assistance, including referring you to movers or helping coordinate the moving, or maybe even meeting the movers if you're out of town. Your buyer's agent may also help by providing community resources. These may be things such as social groups for activities you like. Maybe they'll tell you about schools, churches, or restaurants in the area, or things to do. Maybe a great local hike or a hidden gem in the area that you'd like to know about. Your agent is a plethora of resources because they are embedded within the community and they know all about everything going on. So use them as much as you can. There's resources of all kinds your agent may help you with. Agents typically are social networkers. So hopefully they're going to use their network and their resources to help you after the close of your home to get better ingrained in the community and get all the resources you need after the purchase of your home. Your agent may help you with other things. Keep in mind, your agency has been terminated, so your agent technically has no responsibilities to you at this time. Everything they do is a cherry on top, and they're just doing extra, and they're a good agent if they're doing stuff at this point. One thing I did, my client was out of town, so I met for deliveries of appliances or other deliveries. I open the door, and I put the box inside, and I lock back up. Simple things like this can be a huge help to your clients. And if you do a good job doing this as an agent, hopefully they'll send you referrals moving forward. These are the 8 steps of the real estate home buying process. Your agent can make or break your success in your home buying experience. Your agent can ensure whether the process goes smoothly and you're educated, or the process has lots of hiccups, is frustrating, stressful, and things fall apart. You need to make multiple offers. You're confused. They're not doing enough. So I highly recommend you work with a great buyer's agent who is ideal for your needs. Certain buyer's agents are good at certain things, such as maybe this buyer's agent does mobile homes and they have connections with the mobile homes, and that'll help you save money and go through that process and those contracts more smoothly. Maybe an agent specializes in raw land, or they specialize in airport hangar properties. Certain agents specialize in certain things. Sometimes it's important to work with a specialist. If you're buying a commercial property, you're going to want to make sure that your agent has commercial experience. Regardless of where you're buying and what you're buying, I can help you find the perfect buyer's agent. Contact me anytime, and I'm happy to refer you to the ideal agent based on what you need. On top of that, I'll also be there to help you throughout the process, so you'll get 2 agents for the price of 1. And I'm going to hold your agent accountable to make sure that they're doing what they need to do throughout the process so no one misses anything. For more in-depth analysis of all things real estate, stay tuned for Erik Buyers' Real Estate University videos. If you would like to request a specific video be made about the real estate process or anything real estate, let me know in the comments and I'll do my best to accommodate your request. I wish you all the very best in your real estate endeavors. Best of luck and Godspeed.